Bulls Nation, welcome to a very special video that I have made before and I'm very happy to make again. Welcome to a game that I like to call Keep, Waive, or Trade, where today we go through the entire roster for the Chicago Bulls, from G Leaguers to the star player, and we discuss my personal opinion on whether I believe this player should either get waived, get traded, or should stay around a little while longer. This is the second time I've done it, and let's hope there's many more to come. So without further ado, let's talk about what I think about this Bulls roster in this video. Let's do it. What's up, everybody? It's the Aidan Sports Show, and welcome back to another video. Today we've got a Chicago Bulls video in relation to one of the very favorite games of mine that I like to play with the Chicago Bulls roster, and you've already heard it before in the intro. You're going to hear it again now. Keep, waive, or trade. The entire roster, 3 options. Which category do you put your Chicago Bulls players in? But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel. Turn notifications on. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Bulls players and which categories would you put each of these players in. This is the second time I've done this, as the trade deadline is coming towards an end. Only a few weeks now until we decide what the Bulls future will be. I feel like it's important to make this video during this time so we can see the progress and some regressions of this team. I would love if you guys could play along in the comments below, but I do ask because last time I made this video there were a lot of toxic comments in that comment section talking about their opinions, and that's fine. At the end of the day, I would love for you guys to play along. I'd love you guys to talk about opinions, but I must say, keep it as respectful as possible. So many people that watch these videos have different opinions to each other, and these opinions shouldn't be judged based on what you believe as well. If they believe that, for example, if they believe Otto Porter Jr. should stay with the Bulls, which is probably the most controversial one, don't hate them on that. You can disagree, have a conversation, that's fantastic. But make sure to keep it respectful so everybody can have their say and no one feels ashamed in commenting on these YouTube videos. This is the point of me making these videos at the end of the day, to get these comments and to reply to these comments and have some conversations. We're going to start things off from back to front on the Google Chrome. Search Chicago Bulls roster. We're going to go from the back to the very beginning. So, the first player that comes to mind, Luke Kornet. The 7-foot center has recently become the backup center for the Chicago Bulls, and ultimately there has been some good games and some pretty bad games as well. There was games where he missed 14 consecutive three-point shots before making one. The first game that he played for this season, or at least consistent minutes, he made some threes. He's been making some threes in the last few games for the Chicago Bulls. So it's been up and very down for Luke Kornet. In my opinion, do you get enough for Luke Kornet to get traded? And the money-wise, you might be able to throw him into a trade here or there, maybe a package deal. But if you're going to get something on his own, there's a good chance you're not going to get much for Luke Kornet. So with that being said, I think in terms of we need a backup to the backup, because we all know that Wendell Carter, we all know that even Daniel Gafford, Lauri Markkanen, players can get injured on this team. So with Luke Kornet, I really am leaning towards keeping him until the end of the season and then letting him do his own thing from there, because I don't think he's good enough to be an essential part of this team. But I think if we do have injuries, he is a viable offensive threat when he's making his shots. I feel like in some games we might be able to need that a little bit more than others. So in my opinion, Luke Kornet is a player that I think we should keep until the end of the season. That's a very controversial one because I know many people don't rate Luke Kornet. I know personally, I don't think Luke Kornet's that great either, but I feel like while we have some injury concerns in the center position that just simply won't go away every season, I think we need at least one backup center to the backup center. So we have Daniel Gafford, we need Luke Kornet as well, just in case one of them gets injured. Simple as that in my opinion. Chandler Hutchison, the next one on the list. This guy has been conflicting in my mind since the thought of making this video. I don't know what to say about Chandler Hutchison, because in one way, we promised this guy that we would give him a draft spot early on, and he's worked very hard. He's a hard-working player. He's a player that does bring something to this team. The issue is, very similar to Otto Porter, very similar to Wendell and Lauri, he's not healthy enough to be a consistent part of this team, which is very concerning, very struggling for me to make a decision on him. But personally, I think we have a lot of the players, the type of players that Chandler Hutchison is at this point in time to say we could probably let him go. I'm not saying waive him. I don't think that should be an option at all for Chandler Hutchison, but I think trading Chandler Hutchison might be the right way to go in this retrospect. He is still a young player. He's a player that can definitely have a little bit of value. He's not actually injured right now. He's away on personal issues, and hopefully everything's all right with that. But in this retrospect, I have a feeling Chandler Hutchison, 3 years injured for the Chicago Bulls, very similar to Otto Porter. It's just time to have a fresh start for him, maybe a start elsewhere. Of course, I understand if we keep him, that many people would like to keep Chandler Hutchison. In my opinion, I think it's definitely a time to part ways, in my personal opinion. Next up, we've got Tomas Satoransky, the point guard that, in my opinion, has been very essential towards this team. And I think, for sure, Tomas Satoransky is a keeper to the end of the season for the Chicago Bulls. He is someone, in my opinion, that has brought major confidence within the point guard position. He's playing, in my opinion, his best basketball this season than I've seen in all other seasons of him in the NBA. He's helped lift the load off of Coby White. I think this is an essential part of this team as well, playing very well off of that bench with our bench mob. And I think with that being said, it has to be a key for Tomas Satoransky. I don't think there's any way, shape or form unless we get a valuable player in return. And I mean Alonzo Ball. I mean a veteran point guard that is better than Satoransky. I don't see him going anywhere on this team. So there we go. I truly think Satoransky is a must keep with the Chicago Bulls this season. Let's go into the G League now. Someone that we've been discussing for a long time, had a 2-year deal, a Frenchman, Adam Makoko. I really rate this player. When he came into the NBA last season, we guarded people like Luka Doncic. He had a great game against the Pelicans. I'll never forget those moments. And in that retrospect, he's a G League prospect. He's someone that's not getting paid much. He's someone that's working his way up in the G League. And nearly every time he's been given that opportunity, he's taken it. So in that retrospect, I would like to keep Adam Makoko. I think this is the replacement for Chandler Hutchison in many ways. I think Adam Makoko can step up and play the role that Hutchison is playing at this point in time when he's healthy. And I think in that way, we already have that replacement. We don't need to go and trade Chandler Hutchison, but maybe we should to get someone that in another position, because I think Makoko could be more than willing and capable of playing the role that Chandler Hutchison plays at this time. Again, that's something we have to wait and see about. I like Makoko, I like Hutchison. If both of them stay on the Bulls for a long period of time and they prove their worth, happy days. That's what I truly want. But I think it's definitely time to part ways with Chandler Hutchison, and maybe Makoko could be that step-up guy to play in that position. Next up, we got Cristiano Felicio. Last time I said keep Cristiano Felicio because I just don't see the point in waiving him. Now I see a point in waiving Cristiano Felicio because there's potential that Joakim Noah could be joining this team even if it's on a one-day contract. If Joakim Noah is actually willing to play for the Chicago Bulls, I think Felicio should get waived. But Felicio's played decently this year. You can't knock his credit. You can't not. He doesn't deserve the slander this year. He's barely played, but when he has played, I thought he's played very well. But in that retrospect, if there is someone that's going to come in and retire, or maybe if we do go and acquire a trade, or we have someone that we can go after, if there's a buyout or from Andre Drummond, maybe the Bulls could pursue something like that, then waiving Felicio is a good way to go, in my opinion, for the Chicago Bulls. So there is always an option to waive Felicio, and that's the big thing here. I think that's the next option the Chicago Bulls must decide, but more likely than not, he's probably going to stay, just like at the beginning of last season when I made this video. I said he was going to stay this season. I truly think he will still stay, but I do see the value in waiving him at this point in time, because if there's buyouts happening for the players like Andre Drummond, the Bulls need to be ready to try and make an offer for Andre Drummond to join this team. And to do that, you need to waive a player. Felicio is the guy to waive, in my opinion. Next up, we've got Ryan Arcidiacono, the point guard. He's barely played this season, and when he has played, he's played good minutes. He's the hustle guy. He's the guy that gets under your skin. He's the dirty grit type player that will do whatever's necessary to get the hustle boards, to get a hustle dive play, to get a steal. And of course, he's a decent offensive shooter as well. He's just not aggressive enough, in my opinion. Arcidiacono, I think this is a keep as well for me, for Ryan Arcidiacono. I rate Ryan Arcidiacono. I think he's played decently this season. despite not having too many minutes. The only way I would see Arcidiacono leaving the Bulls is if we give Devon Dotson a chance to play in the Chicago Bulls. And if that is what it takes, then maybe it is time to trade or waive Ryan Arcidiacono. But I think this season, this is what I'm aiming for. Should we trade them now, or should we waive them now, or should we keep them until the end of the season, until I make this video again in like 6 months' time? I think Arcidiacono is someone that needs to stay. At the end of the day, we are in a very, very, very different era of basketball where players get stuck into contact tracing. Players could get the virus. And I think the more men that we have, the better. And Arcidiacono, I'd truly trust him as a backup point guard this season. So I'd rather keep him on this team than just let him go for walk for nothing. So that's my opinion on Ryan Arcidiacono. I think this guy is definitely a player we could keep. Denzel Valentine is next. This is pretty straightforward. I know I've heard that his no trade clause is actually up for the Chicago Bulls. So technically, I believe now he can get traded. But still, I'd rather keep Denzel Valentine towards the end of the season. The Bulls gave him an opportunity to prove himself on this team. And in my opinion, he's having his best season for the Chicago Bulls by a landslide. And he's proving his worth to this team. So I'd like to see him being given more of an opportunity on this team to prove his worth. And trading him, in my opinion, is just not the right time to do it. I'm not saying he's a future cornerstone for the Bulls. I'm not saying he will be here beyond this season. But I definitely believe if you're giving him that faith from the beginning of the season, see it out to the end and see how well he can do, and maybe, just maybe, he deserves his spot on this team by the end of the season. We shall wait and see what will happen with Denzel Valentine, but in my opinion, it's a definite keep for me. Daniel Gafford is next. I'm conflicted on Daniel Gafford. At the end of the day, I really thought at the start of the season this guy was going to be something special on this team. I thought he was going to take the leap up. I thought he was going to be a true center that we've been looking for. We didn't need an Andre Drummond because we had Daniel Gafford. He could block shots. He could grab dunks. He could go and get rebounds. At the end of the day, this is only his second season in the NBA. So this is something that conflicts me because, again, he's still at a decent level in terms of where he is. This is his second year in the NBA. I believe he's only 22 years old or 23 years old. And he has potential still, in my opinion. I still think he could be a decent center in the NBA. But at the end of the day, what he's shown us on this team has not been anywhere near what I expected him to be at this time. I thought he had a much better season last season than this season. He's already, in my opinion, beginning to regress a little bit. He's not a true starting center, in my opinion. I'm not sure if it's confidence or he's just not good enough. I don't really know what to say about Daniel Gafford, but I'm not sure. Look, at the end of the day, the Bulls are looking for a center, in my opinion, whether it's from the NBA draft or it's from trades, whatever the case may be. Maybe Daniel Gafford just is not a member of this team that I truly believe will stay here. I have a lot of respect for Daniel Gafford. I really do. I like his energy. I like the way that he plays. But at the end of the day, if Luke Kornet is the backup center at this point in time, does Billy Donovan really give him enough chances to play Daniel Gafford? Daniel Gafford was the starting center, and ever since Wendell Carter came back, Billy Donovan has not really played him. He played a few minutes against the Pelicans, and I think the game Wendell came back, right afterwards he played backup minutes. Then it's been Luke Kornet for the rest of the time. So if Billy Donovan is truly trusting Luke Kornet over Daniel Gafford, I think maybe it's time to trade Daniel Gafford away. I really like Daniel Gafford. I rate Daniel Gafford more than I rate Luke Kornet. But if the coach has made his decision, then I think maybe the Bulls should just try and find a trade asset, a trade partner to go with Daniel Gafford. Next up, Devon Dotson. Pretty simple, this one. We got him. He's in the G League. He's performing very well in the G League. His opportunity will come sooner or later. He's a Chicago native. He's someone that values his game, energy. He's definitely someone that reminds me of Derrick Rose a little bit. So I think this is pretty simple. You have to keep Devon Dotson on this team. What's the point of bringing a rookie in if you're not even going to keep him on the team? So that's fairly simple. He's playing very well in the G League. It's a two-way contract. He can make his way up if there's an opportunity for him. He has played NBA minutes already. He's played against the Bucks before. So his time will come sooner or later. I truly believe he will get his opportunity one day for the Chicago Bulls. Garrett Temple. Definitely someone that should be kept as well. Is performing very well this season. The Bulls have already declined trades for Garrett Temple with the Indiana Pacers, so clearly the Bulls value him as well. Pretty simple, this one as well. It's a must-keep type player. He's performing very well for this team. He's only on a 1-year deal. We're not going to get much out of trades. We're only going to get around a second-round pick, in my opinion. There's no need to trade Garrett Temple away. He's been performing decently well for the Bulls. He's been starting in a lot of games. I think this is definitely a must-keep. Thaddeus Young. This is very interesting because Thaddeus Young's performing at such a high level. You could probably get a decent trade out of Thaddeus Young this season. He's playing absolutely out of his mind. He's definitely the Bulls' second best player in this point in time. He's closing out games. He's very efficient. He's becoming the best passer, in my opinion, in this day. Well, how old is he? He's over 30 years old. This is his best passing season, in my opinion, and he's doing all of this coming off of the bench for the Chicago Bulls. So this depends on what you want. You'll get a high trade out of Thaddeus Young. You can get future stars, not future stars. You could get future picks. You could get a bunch of picks, to be honest, for Thaddeus Young, in my opinion. That's how good he's been this season. But the Bulls, I believe, have no interest in trading Thaddeus Young. And as a Bulls fan that's trying to push this team towards the playoff this season, Thaddeus Young is essential towards that. So in my opinion, depending on what you guys think, if you want to trade him, you could get some players back, maybe some picks back for sure. But I definitely think this is a keep as well because he's helping us to go to that playoffs. And that's exactly what we're going to need in this point in time. Otto Porter, I've already spoken about Otto Porter. I've already talked about it in the last video about the long goodbye. I've mentioned it a few times in this video as well. It is the long goodbye, in my opinion, for Otto Porter. I definitely think a trade is absolutely necessary for Otto Porter. We've already talked about potential trades that could end up happening with Otto Porter and the Cavs. I've heard multiple people say that Otto Porter is up for trade, and there's many trade discussions. I've heard the Golden State Warriors is someone that could potentially be targeting Otto Porter. Regardless of where or if he gets traded, I think this has to be his last season, in my opinion, for this team. I love Otto Porter. Honestly, I think he's a great player. But if he can't stay healthy, this team needs to just move on, in my opinion. I think it's best for both player and club to just move on from each other. I think we should definitely try and trade Otto Porter. Wendell Carter Jr. I'm on the faith with Wendell Carter Jr. I have faith in him. Again, injuries will be the big thing, and maybe in 6 months' time, I'll be changing my answer. But I definitely think Wendell Carter is a keep. At the end of the day, I've said many times, I know we need a true center on this team. I know we need a quality center on this team. But that doesn't mean Wendell Carter is not a big part of this team. That doesn't mean on certain nights Wendell Carter doesn't start. That doesn't mean on certain nights Wendell Carter isn't one of our better players on the team. At the end of the day, Wendell Carter still has great potential, and I truly believe that. And I think sometimes we see that out of Wendell Carter. It's not consistent, but more often than not, we can see that there is potential with Wendell Carter on this team. So it's all about finding that consistency. Billy Donovan's definitely the guy to do that. I think the Wendell Carter likes playing for this team. At the end of the day, I see this as a keep. I think most of them are going to be keeps from here on in. Lauri Markkanen. This one is tough as well because many people have mixed opinions on Lauri Markkanen. At the end of the day, we've been talking about injuries with Chandler Hutchison. We've been talking about injuries with Otto Porter. We've been talking about injuries with the likes of even Wendell Carter. But Lauri Markkanen has been injured every single season since he's been as a Chicago Bull. It's very frustrating to know the capabilities, the talent, and the star potential Lauri Markkanen has, but he can't put it all together. At the end of the day, this guy could be the cornerstone of a team if he's playing healthy. I truly believe that. I believe he's a very quality, very skilled big man that can play the center position and play the power forward position and do it effectively offensively. In my opinion, the difference between Garrett Temple and Lauri Markkanen is Lauri Markkanen's still very young. He can still turn his career around. Otto Porter, he can turn his career around, but is he going to be that next star on another team? No. Lauri Markkanen can go to another team and absolutely thrive, scoring over 20 points and 10 rebounds a game. If that's the level he could be higher than that as well with the scoring capabilities that he has. So this is on thin ice, but I would keep Lauri Markkanen as well. I would re-sign Lauri Markkanen next season. Maybe not on the money that he would like, but definitely if there's an opportunity to do it, I would re-sign Lauri Markkanen and give him a little bit more time to try and turn his career around on this team. And if he can't, then it's the long goodbye again with Lauri Markkanen. But if he can, we could truly see a great player here. Coby White, easy, must keep. Coby White's a very good part of this team. In my opinion, he's definitely a key part of this team. He's a cornerstone of this team. He's the second option on this team, and I think he's developing very nicely. I think he's having a much better season this season than last season. In a new role, he's becoming a very good aggressive scoring option. All we need to see is consistency from Coby White. He's playing very effectively as of this point in time. We can see that consistency out of Coby White. That's going to be great to see. Patrick Williams, absolutely must keep. Essential player on this team, has unlimited potential. This guy can go to the roof of his potential if he truly puts in the work. And so far, we've already seen the skill set, we've seen the talent, and we see the potential out of him. No way should we ever be considering putting Patrick Williams in a trade. It's as simple as that. We know what this guy can be. Hopefully he knows what he can be. And if he works hard enough, if he learns from the players that are giving him advice and other teams and watching how they play and how he can develop his own game, I think he could become a truly big part of this team, and I think he could be the key if we're a contender down the line. Zach LaVine, the last player on this team, fairly simple this one as well. The all-star Zach LaVine. I think if we're trying to push and go upwards in the trajectory of the Chicago Bulls, trading Zach LaVine's not an option. We need to put someone next to Zach LaVine that has that same ability to affect the floor, just in different ways. So in that area, Zach LaVine with someone else that can do similar things in terms of affecting the game, like an Andre Drummond with his rebounding and scoring, maybe even the likes of Lonzo Ball with his playmaking and his defense, and many other ways we can improve this team, even via trades. We need someone next to Zach LaVine. We don't need to get rid of Zach LaVine. Especially he's on a cheap deal as of this point in time. He could be looking to get the max contract soon, and maybe he deserves that max contract out of the Bulls. And I don't think this is the time to be letting someone of that caliber go. We're pushing towards a playoff spot within these few months of the remaining time of the NBA season. I think he's truly a must keep. And that's the roster. We went by it pretty quickly, in my opinion. I thought this was going to be a much longer video, 20 minutes. Not too bad. There are a lot of players to talk about. I gave a few reasons why for each and every single one. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree with me in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. How did you guys do? Did you guess all the ones that I guessed as well? Or did you have a little bit of a different opinion? Let me know in the comments below and let me know why. Again, keep it respectful so we can have some conversations with each other. If your comment is slanderous or rude or you're targeting other people, I won't be replying to them. And more often than not, YouTube deletes those comments anyway. So that's out of my hands. If you keep it respectful, your comment should stay there. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video. Take care and peace.